Hello, welcome to another Writerly Witterings. Today, let's talk about notepads. Now, if you've been watching any of my videos recently, you'll know that I like notepads. As you can see up here, Oxford notepads, Rhodia, Clairefontaine, all types of notepad, and they all work extremely well. But there's one type of notepad that I started using 5 years ago, which is this, the Automa Notepad. And the great thing about them is that everything is removable because they have a series of, can you see these, metal rings or plastic rings depending on the type you buy, and every page can be removed and put into a different place if you so wish, or just return to the same place. These things are great. They have good quality paper. You can buy different sized rings, so you can have thinner notepads or fatter. And what I really like is that they come in all different sizes. So here's an A5 version. Now I've been using these for years. I even advanced so far as a leather version, which is really nice. Apart from one failing, which is that if you try to write on your lap, they are a bit floppy, even when they're quite full of paper like this one. That's an issue. Another slight issue is that some of the papers they sell with these things are superb, like this classic, I forget what they call it, but it's professional classic or something. But other types of paper can be considerably less good. And when I say considerably less good, I mean get ready for bleeding, feathering, and every other type of failure that you can imagine with a notepad. So here's some of the cheaper paper, which I think they say is used for students. If I step out of the way, you can see there just how bad the shadow coming through the paper is from the other side of writing. They're great, but they're not perfect. A few weeks ago, you might have seen me unbox a William Hannah notebook. And here is the box. Let's have a look. Now the first thing you have to say is the packaging is just superb. As an example, when you buy paper, it comes with a nice little paper wrapper. Doesn't matter what the size of paper is, it comes with really neat packaging. When you buy the actual book, it comes with a little welcome to your book, which is nice. It tells you about William Hannah Limited, it tells you about how to care for it, things you can do with it. Quiet at the back there. And then, because writing helps, it has a nice little postcard to show you the sort of things that other people do, etc. But let's have a look at the notebook itself. Now, this is just gorgeous. I've been using it every day for quite some time now, so it's getting little marks, which is sort of sad, but sort of doesn't matter because it shows that it's been used, and they're honourable scars in the line of duty, if you like. But as a notebook, you can get all different colours on the outside, all different colours on the inside. It is remarkably beautiful. It has this little badge here. Apparently you can unscrew that, and if you unscrew it, because that's just a flathead screw thing, if you unscrew it you can fit on a tab which will allow you to hold a pen on it. A pen loop, in fact, that's the word I was trying to get to. Now, what exactly is this thing like? This is like the Automa notepads in that it has a series of rings. The difference is these rings are all actually linked. I'm going to try to show this. It's not the easiest thing to show, but I think you can just see there is a metal bar running through each of the rings and also captive, held within the leather. That means that the rings are far less flexible and you don't get that wobble that you get with the Automas. Okay, so what exactly is this wonderful notebook all about? It has diary sections. Now I looked at these and I thought, ouch, that's an expensive way of buying a diary. And then I started thinking about it, and it's actually cheaper for me to buy the paper to fit in this than it would be to buy a Leuchtturm diary. I have no objection to Leuchtturm. I like Leuchtturm, but let's just have a look at it. This is exactly the same format as a Leuchtturm, except that the position of dates may be slightly different. I don't really know and I don't care. This works exactly the same for me as the Leuchtturm does. There is one major difference between this and Leuchtturm, and that is that you can also buy other fillers. So, for example, here we've got an intentions diary. So you have what your intentions are for that month, and then you fill out the diary. Okay, I got this towards the end of January, so there wasn't too much. So I put reflections on January this year. I've got intentions for February, and then I have dates of all the meetings and so on that I have. And then I'll be doing reflections and intentions. It's obviously a notepad that has paper. You can have lined paper, and you can have different types of lined paper, different colours. Let me just see if there's another one here. You've got dot grid pages. So here, blue dots. And I like these blue lines and the blue dots because they go so well with the blue interior suede. Which is, I know, quite pathetic, but I like it. What else do I like? This paper is fabulous. No bleed through, no feathering, nothing whatsoever. It's just gorgeous. And I have to say, if you ever think about getting one of these, you have to get Schreibtinte Blue Mar. But I say that because it is almost exactly the same colour as the internal leather on this delightful little notepad. What do I like? What do I not like so much? Because I can't say there's anything I actually dislike. I don't like so much the fact that when it's shut, although it's quite thin, as you can see up at the top, the size of the rings with two thicknesses of leather makes it fairly fat at the bottom, but it's also a benefit because when you're walking along holding it, you can feel it in your hand. I'm not convinced of some of the different formats that they have. So, for example, they have some of these meditation, reflective types of notes. So the first page is what are you grateful for, what's your happiness level, all that sort of stuff. Second page then is random thoughts, what have you learnt, thoughts for tomorrow, key actions, all that sort of thing. These are the sort of things that would be much more useful for someone who isn't just a writer. Because for me, I tend to get up in the morning, I know I've got to write 3, 4, 5, 6 scenes, I need to sit down and just write them. I don't need meditation and stuff, I just need to get on with the work. But I can see that that would be useful for other people. But getting on to the things I like, I really do like the diary section. That's good. I like the fact that you've got days down the side and you've got area for writing notes. I find that very useful on a daily basis. I also really like this intentions concept where you have reflections on the previous month, what you'll do, and then intentions, what you're going to do more of that month. I like that. I know it sounds silly and it's the sort of thing you could write up yourself. My daughter does with her dot grid notebook, but I just like the fact that it's there so I don't forget what I'm supposed to be doing. I do like having a month in a view. Now, it's got a slight issue because I am dreadful, I really am bad at copying month in a view back down to week to a view. But it's something I'm going to have to get used to. I also really, really like the fact that I can take notes from the smaller, let me just get it again. Here's the smaller version of paper. I can take these sheets of paper, I've just got a dot grid style here, and stick them straight in anywhere, and then I've got little additional notes that I can put comments in, and I can then mark them up, and if I need to I can move them through to a following week. So it's a sort of continual to-do list. It also is something that I use for other things. So for example, when I'm thinking of writing a new book, new short story, I can have character notes put in there, which then I can refer back to when I want. I can change, I can amend, but they're always here and I can reflect on them and add to them as I need. I really, really like the quality of the paper. It is fantastic, and you get all different types. You can get dot grid, squared, you can get lined, you can get plain. All of it seems to have the same beautiful feel as the best Clairefontaine. It's got that slight sort of smoothness to it that just feels delightful to write on. My Viscontis almost seem to float above the surface with their very, very wet nibs. They just edge along so smoothly that you can hardly tell you're touching paper. Absolutely beautiful. I really like the month to a view. I really like the week to a view. I like the fact you've got an area for notes on the right hand side. One thing I can't stand is using a diary system on Google or somewhere else. I've had too many problems in the past trying to synchronise between Android phone, iMac computer and other stuff, and it always seems to go wrong for me. I like analog. And I really don't think you'll find a better quality analog type diary stroke notebook. I am finding this just gorgeous to use. Now, I have to put in a quick word to say this is not something I've bought. I was given this by William Hanna. However, I don't make reviews just because I've been given things to review. The same thing goes for all of my inks, all of my pens. Basically, I review the things that I want to review. If I don't like it, or if I've got doubts about it, even if it's given to me, I don't give it a good review. This, however, is beautifully made. I think the best way I can describe it is, I will still be using other notepads. I will still be using Tomo River notepads. I will still be using Clairefontaines and all sorts. I won't be using this for rough notes and sketches every day because I get through a lot of paper that way and it's just wasteful. This is something that I use when I have something important I want to note and remember, and when I want a little bit of me time to sit down and think about what I'm doing that day or in future days. This is something that makes the act of writing feel more important. Everything else, my notepads, my Leuchtturms, Rhodias and so on, are notepads I use because I have to do something. I'll scribble a note down, I won't forget it that way. This is something where I put a note down because it's important. So character notes on my characters in my stories, new plot ideas where I've already scribbled down outlines in other books, then when they go in here they'll be more set in stone. And my day-to-day activities and life, journal type notes, they'll go in here. Because It feels lovely. It is wonderful. Is there anything else that I would do with it? Well, I've got these smaller pieces of paper, A6 size. It almost makes me think I need to buy another noteback in this size so I can keep these notes tidier. Don't know, that's something I'll have to think about. But for now, this is as near perfection as I can actually imagine for a notepad. So highly recommended. I love it. I'm sure you would too if you tried one. And having said that, it's now time to go and write up a load of notes on the book that I'm going to be doing, because I've now got a new project on Patreon, and that is that I'm describing how I invent characters, how I get plot ideas down, how I develop stories from the outset. I'm doing it with a short story initially so that it's a bit easier and faster, but I've got to give 4 lectures at the Swanwick Writing School later this year, and I've got a lot of other talks I've got to give which are basically about writing and how I write. So it seems to make sense to put something out on the internet as well. So I've got a fairly full time coming up, especially since I've now been booked up to do a second set of Smithsonian Journeys tours. They have a classic English crime tour, which starts in Torquay, just down the road here, and then goes from Torquay to the Cotswolds to Oxford to London. And at each of those locations they've got me as their guest expert to talk about Agatha Christie, then Colin Dexter, Dick Francis, P.D. James, Dorothy L. Sayers, Bernard Knight, Susanna Gregory, and everybody else I can think of, because I'll be talking about crime writers, the locations they use, the scenes they use, and also my own work and how I work as a crime writer. So that was great fun last year. I'm doing it again this year, and they're booking me up for next year as well. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, book up with Smithsonian Journeys. There you go. Obviously my lips are going strange now. I think I better have another cup of tea and then crack on with the next project. So, thanks a lot for watching. If you're interested in this and you want to support the channel, go to the bottom, there's a link to Patreon. I'm going to put a link in for William Hanna so that you can see what the prices are, where they are, all that sort of stuff. Nice website actually, it gives a bit of a history about the company and so on. So, Patreon, William Hanna. If you like this, please hit the like button. If you enjoyed the video and like the way I do things, do hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of other videos coming up. Share it. Give any comments you've got, because I'm always interested and I try to respond to any comments within a couple of days. And apart from that, thanks ever so much for watching, and back to my tea. Cheers.